Okay, it shows that I am live, and today is Saturday, November 30th, 2024, and I am streaming simultaneously on YouTube and Rumble, and we have a fun show tonight. I'm going to keep it to about an hour, but this will be fun. I did a live stream on Rumble last night, and so to those of you that didn't see it, I'm going to be rehashing some of the same things on that live stream. I'll be answering questions and reading comments and sharing my experience on Joe Rogan, as well as share other things that I didn't discuss on that podcast. I went in there with like several topics that were not discussed because of the nature of the conversation. There was three of us. Of course, you may realize that this was my third appearance on there, and this time I brought Dan Richards of the Dedunking YouTube channel on there, and I'm so glad that I did. That guy absolutely killed it. He is this up-and-comer that has exploded on the scene, especially differentiating the differences between the alternative ancient historians and the mainstream. He went from even debunking me, but he did so politely that I fell in love with him. And then he started looking into a lot of the conduct and rhetoric coming out of the mainstream archaeologists and did debunking videos on them where he fact-checked and saw like, oh, no. Things that went down on that Flint Dibble debate with Graham Hancock on Joe Rogan were not as they seem. There was a lot of facts in there that weren't really facts. So yeah, we got some fun stuff to talk about. Let me just double check to make sure that we're live and everything's on the up and up here. Let's see. Yeah, we're good. We're live on everything. Everything looks good. The quality's good. I got that issue fixed up. I have no idea. To those of you that were following my live streams from like a couple months ago, you know, there was such quality issues. I don't know what the hell was going on, but I will say this. I reset my router, I unplugged it for a few hours, and all the problems are gone. I don't know what else it could have been. Unless it was an issue with StreamYard, which some people had suggested. I don't know. All I know is that it looks good now. Thank God. Anyway, yeah, people are saying good comments. Screen looks fine. Yeah, I'm happy to hear it. I'll do a couple ad reads here in this live stream here in a few minutes. But other than that, any questions and comments are welcome. Super chats are welcome. But yeah, I'd be very curious to know of everyone's thoughts on that Joe Rogan podcast. I thought it was my best one yet. It wasn't perfect. Midway through, I was kind of all over the place for a couple reasons. When I was trying to explain the Göbekli Tepe conspiracy theory. Joe Rogan, he has a side channel called JRE Clips. And the clip they chose was of me discussing the Göbekli Tepe conspiracy, and it was arguably the worst clip they could have chosen. Like all the comments like, this guy's all over the place. But when you have three people that are excited to chat about a topic in a conversation, it's hard to get things out with people interrupting. I interrupted Dan a few times, which I feel awful about, but I didn't mean to. Joe Rogan interrupted me, but he doesn't mean to. You know, we're just feeding off each other and talking. And so it throws off my train of thought when I'm trying to spit out all these facts. And on top of it, and this is kind of funny. It's nothing to joke about, but like I was so cracked out on caffeine and nicotine. Like I've been doing those Zyn packets. And you can ask Dan Richards. I was sipping, never mind all the caffeine I had that morning and before the podcast. The entire 3 hours that I was on that show, I was sipping coffee and an energy drink the entire time. And I probably shouldn't have done that because I'm already an energetic individual. So combined with the nicotine and the caffeine, it kind of hit. But like, whatever, I had fun. But, you know, so that was like the worst part of it all. Other than that, I feel like it was a very good podcast and the feedback has been outstanding. I'm still pinching myself, guys, to have been on that show 3 times now. And to those of you that were following my channel from the beginning, I had made a video back in like, it was either 2017 or 2018 where I said that it was my dream to get on Joe Rogan's podcast. I went from watching Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson on Joe Rogan to going down the rabbit hole of the mysteries of lost ancient civilizations. I came across videos of Brian Forster sharing the mysteries of the Serapeum with these dozens of 100-ton stone boxes. And I remember thinking to myself at that time, how fun would it be to talk about these subjects with Joe Rogan? So I'm proof that anybody can do it. I make videos in the spare bedroom of my house. I do my own research. I do this entirely alone, which I believe has helped me. as well as held me back in some other ways. Like I could make many more videos if I had a team, but I do everything myself. And because of that, I differentiate myself from many others in this field in that I come to my own conclusions. It's not to say that I don't mirror some of the same people. I share many of the same thoughts with Graham Hancock, but not everything. There's no one out there that I agree entirely with, and neither should you. I certainly get things wrong along the way, but if you go your own way in life, things can happen for you, and I can't get over it. Like, I grew up in South Tempe, Arizona. Like, it is surreal when I meet people and when I reconnect with old friends and other people. It's like, you're on Joe Rogan? And I'm like, how did this happen? But I think that it's proof that if I can do it, anyone can do it. I will also say, on a side note, so I did a podcast, my second, with Danica Patrick, and it just aired on Thanksgiving. And I highly recommend this. As thrilled as I am to have been on Joe Rogan, I have to tell you the honest truth, which is that I feel that that podcast I just did with her was my best appearance I had ever done. I was just on point. My brain was focused. I was articulate. It was just her and I, and along with a team of people recording. But I just felt in the zone. And honestly, this conversation was fire. Like, it's getting really good feedback. We talked about all kinds of things. So I recommend you go to her channel and subscribe. It's called Pretty Intense, or if you just YouTube Danica Patrick, you'll come across it. It's about an hour and a half, and I thought it was really good. And Danica Patrick's one of my favorite people because she lived this super interesting life of being a race car driver, the first female to win an Indy 500 race, which was her dream from being 10 years old. She was telling her parents at 10 years old, I'm going to win an Indy 500 race, which sounded absurd because no female had ever done that. And now she's living a very interesting life where she's got involved in politics, spirituality, and she has this fascination with the mysteries of lost ancient civilization. She's been to Egypt a few times, and that's how we connected. So she's someone that I think is really cool because for her to be as outspoken as she is on these various conspiracies and other things was a interesting path for her to take that many others with, public notoriety don't do because they're afraid to speak out. Be labeled a conspiracy theorist. So let's see here. How do I put this? Hey, Michael Ouellette, thank you for becoming a new member. Real quick, to those of you that aren't following me on locals.com, the link's in the description. I'll be doing a live stream. I do a monthly live stream on Locals. And because the crowd is so much smaller, there's usually just a couple dozen people. Every question and every comment I address live on the air. I don't miss a single one. And so, in this stream, there's already people asking me questions and comments that I'm missing, which sucks. It's a good problem to have, but it's in me to feel bad about it because I'm like, I wish I could answer everyone's question and comment. But if that's something that you want to do to have that more, connection and chat with me, that is a surefire way to do it. John B said she's hot. Yes, she is. So let's see. I'll be definitely curious of everyone's thoughts on the Danica Patrick podcast as well as the Joe Rogan podcast. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? I'm open to feedback. The worst thing that I saw, and Dan and I talked about it, is I interrupted him a few times, and I feel so bad. I didn't mean to. I was excited, and it wasn't like I'm cutting him off to not let him speak, but that's the worst thing. And I told him ahead of time, brother, I'm probably going to do most of the talking because I got invited on and there's all these topics I want to talk about and we didn't even get to them. And I said, forgive me ahead of time. I will remind myself on that show to shut my mouth and get you, to be able to speak your piece. And I did a mostly good job at it, but it could have been better. And he saw some comments on it and on our end with Dan and I, everything's all good. But it broke my heart a little bit. Because it's like, come on, Jimmy, shut the fuck up, right? But I think that was the worst of it all. And so, Dan Richards is so interesting. And in my mind, he should be on that show solo because he has so much to share. And I could not be more grateful that he came with me because I knew that Joe Rogan going into it was going to want to talk about the conspiracies involving Göbekli Tepe, the controversies involving ancient apocalypse and the Flint Dibble debate and all these other things. And Dan Richards, because there's a few people I would have liked to have brought with me, but you can really only bring one, if that. I mean, I had to ask Joe. And Joe was thrilled about it because Joe was already following him on Twitter because he had come across the work that he had done, defending Graham Hancock. And Joe was happy for him to come. And so I'm so grateful he did, because Dan provided incredible insight on these important topics. Because honestly, Dan is more versed in the mainstream side of things, in like the sciencey out part of things, as I put it. And it was invaluable on that podcast. And I felt the three of us made a really good team. Gundam said, you see Flint's open letter to Joe Rogan on YouTube? Thoughts? Yes, I did. And I actually left him a comment. And I made him an open letter on Twitter. So I have a few thoughts. Around 19 minutes in, Flint Dibble addresses me. And it was incredibly incendiary. And he basically said that I accused him of faking cancer and all this other stuff. I'll tell the story right now. But let me preface it with this. If you go watch that Joe Rogan podcast, notice that I did not say one negative thing about Flint Dibble whatsoever. I chose not to. Flint Dibble and I have gotten into it in the past, but that was several months ago, or as recently as several months ago. It's been a while. I've stopped talking about him. And I don't have anything more to say about him. What's the point? Guys, I can get into it with people if I feel attacked, but I let things go. So I don't have any real animosity against him. But, as far as me accusing him of cancer, the one thing that he always leaves out, because let me be honest with you, him rescheduling that debate, I think there's more to that story. That's what I think. And it was only after he said that his cancer was gone that I brought that up. And I also said, if you have cancer, I wish you well. He always leaves that out. The reason why I said it is because he started calling me a Nazi he said I was spreading dangerous Nazism for correlating the swastika and saying that, hey, did Hitler know something about lost ancient history that we don't? Which was a sincere question. It's a real question. Why was this guy so obsessed with that crap? And never mind the Aryan crap. I want to know why he was looking for the Ark of the Covenant, Thor's hammer, and the Holy Grail, and giant bones in Africa. This is documented. It's called Nazi archaeology. They were really into it, and they poured enormous resources into it. This is a real question. The Nazis, even though they went down an evil path, they were still intelligent. And I want to know why this group of intelligent people went to such great extent to explore these mysteries. So after Flint started calling me a Nazi, I got really upset. And so I threw out there what I was already thinking. What I had heard is that his cronies were encouraged. Let me be careful on how I say this. From what I understand, because the people blab their mouths, is that he took the opportunity, once it was rescheduled, to essentially build information that he could use in the podcast. I don't know if he faked anything. It's none of my business. And I apologize to him for ever bringing up cancer. That was unbecoming of me. I should not have done it. It was mean-spirited. And although part of me thinks that it's the truth, and the reason is this, guys, let me just say this. This is the last time. In Flint Dibble, if you hear this, forgive me. I'm letting it go. Please let it go as well. Who cares? But there's more to the story here. He started making videos of me at that same period of time of calling me a Nazi, where he appeared to be overweight and healthy and in good spirits. And I didn't think he looked like somebody that just was going through cancer. I can go fuck myself for bringing it up. I don't feel good about it, and I have apologized. But when someone calls me a Nazi, I get angry. I'm like, this is way uncool. You are slandering me. When you put this shit out on the internet, it's forever, and I'm going to fight back. I'm a fighter. If someone pushes me, I'm going to punch you. If you punch me, it's a fight. It's just in my bloodline. I volunteered to be a soldier. It's the way that I am. But I do have to check myself, because I do have it in me to step on necks. I kind of like it about myself, but I don't like it about myself, because I don't often feel good about it afterwards. But I never start fights. I only finish them. I don't talk shit about anybody unless they come after me first. It is a principle of mine. I just don't do it. And you will never find an example of me doing that to anybody, minus Zahi Hawass. But I mean, come on, I've only ever shared what he's been accused of. He would be the only example, because Zahi Hawass has never said anything negative about me, and I didn't say negative things about him. That's the only example. But yeah, once he had, started making videos and was slandering me and looked totally healthy, I did say, I wish you good health. If you have cancer, I wish you good health. But again, I only said that after he publicly stated the cancer was gone. So that's my defense, right? So to answer the person's question about what my thoughts were on his open letter to Joe Rogan, I'm like, it was just entirely negative. So I did a public letter to him on Twitter, and it was very, very short. I said, and I'm sending out an olive branch. I said, hey, Flint, why don't we unite on common ground and, end this divisive nature between alternative ancient historians and the mainstream archaeologists, and let's agree on common ground on one thing, that we would like to see further exploration or excavation of the hidden chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza, Gunung Padang, and Göbekli Tepe. And he hasn't said anything since. He did respond to somebody else's response about it that was negative towards me, but he didn't address it directly. And I'm being sincere, guys. So Flint, if you hear this stuff, honestly, let's bury the hatchet. Guys, there are very few people in the world, relatively few, that have an interest and passion in the mysteries of lost ancient civilizations or archaeology as a whole. So, enough drama already. Let's just find common ground and champion for further excavation of the most mysterious sites on Earth. The hidden chamber of the Great Pyramid, Gunung Padang, and Göbekli Tepe. And let's just leave it at that, encourage excavation, and go from there. Because right now you have people arguing, like someone like myself that does not think the Great Pyramid of Giza that was built to be a tomb for the pharaoh, if we were to explore the hidden chamber, and if the Great Pyramid of Giza was built to be a tomb, which I don't think, but let's just say that that's the truth, it is entirely possible that in that hidden chamber, there could be a buried pharaoh. There could be lost ancient relics or treasures or answers or information about the Egyptians themselves. And the only thing more debated than the Great Pyramid being a tomb or some sort of lost technology or a functional thing or whatever is how it was constructed in the first place, because it is a fact that we have no idea how the Egyptians constructed the pyramid. We only have theories and guesswork, and these theories have already been debunked. So if we go into that hidden chamber, we could potentially find answers for how they constructed the damn thing. It's a win-win. Even if there's nothing in this hidden chamber, it's just an empty room, we will have learned something new. We'll see something we've never seen before. They could turn it into a live stream thing. I've joked that they could turn it into a pay-per-view event. I'd pay $50. I'd pay $100 to watch them going into it. And even if there's nothing in it, it's not even a disappointment because it's something new, God damn it. How, honestly, does anybody disagree with this? That going into the hidden chamber of the Great Pyramid is not a good thing? It is a good thing. Don't we all want this? So, all the, ancient lost history drama aside, it's time that everybody focuses on what we what's most important, which is finding out further answers about our ancient past. So, yeah. Let me see what people are up to. In fact, let me actually really quickly do an ad read for an awesome company. 1 second. Okay. This is 5G free. 60% of US adults have had their data hacked or exposed. Relying on big tech or the government for protection, that's like expecting Kamala Harris to answer a question, don't hold your breath. 5G free's Faraday laptop case and phone holders aren't just cases, they're a total signal shutdown for your devices. Slip your gear inside and you block everything. EMF, hold on, let me scroll down here. And they also have, hold on, the phone case. Here we go. Slip your gear inside and you block everything. EMF radiation, GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular tracking. All of it gone. Not only does this protect your privacy, but it also keeps you safe from constant EMF exposure, which has been linked to potential health risks. With 5G free, your devices stay dark, secure, and you stay protected. Visit 5gfree.com and use promo code BrightInsight for 15% off. Protect yourself and your data today. The link is in the description and the pinned comment down below. That's 5gfree.com /BrightInsight. Use promo code BrightInsight. There we go. All right here. There we're back. And I'll have another ad read here in a minute. But I highly recommend it, guys. This company's good to me. They're pro-freedom, and it's a good product. Now let's catch up to some super chats. Thank you so much. It says, why not partner with some people to make a petition, website, GoFundMe, something to bring the community together, raise awareness, and force action? This is a good question, but I feel like I've done it in the best way that can be done. And here's what I mean by that. I made a video about Göbekli Tepe, and it got millions of views, and it went viral. It went all over the place on TikTok. People were talking about it on Twitter and on Reddit. Even the Turkish government got involved, and they had published a bunch of articles trying to defend themselves. I made some waves on that, and I'm really proud of it. And then I go on Joe Rogan, the largest podcast on earth, and I talk about it. So I genuinely believe that it's through the court of public opinion that any change is possible, and it's ultimately up to the powers that be within that country to enact any change. And it's through the court of public opinion that will have the most influence on that. So, yeah, we could do a petition. Maybe that'll have some effect, and maybe I should consider that, because why not? But ultimately, I feel like I've done what I can do best, which is blasting it and shouting it from the rooftops. That's what I do, right? I bring in attention. I make creative videos of thumbnails and titles that I believe will get some traction, and that's the best I can do. So now I'm relying on the true powers that be to follow up, right? Let's see here. Let me just double check on these streams. Everything looks good on YouTube. Let me check on Rumble. Okay, we got a super chat on Rumble from Noslitz. Hey Jimmy, have you seen the docuseries Europa, The Last Battle? If not, please watch it and share it. Okay, what streaming platform is that on? I'll have to give that a check out. Right on, I appreciate you sharing it. So as far as the podcast, and I shared this on Rumble last night, and if you're watching this from YouTube, I highly encourage you to follow me on Rumble. It takes 2 seconds. I'm not asking you to walk down the street a mile, okay? You go to www.rumble.com, enter. And if you need to sign up, it's an email and a password. It takes 20 seconds. And it supports me there because I can say whatever the heck I want on there. And it's interesting to mention that I get more views on my live streams on Rumble, usually at least, than I do on YouTube. Whereas I have 112,000 followers on Rumble and 1.6 something million on YouTube. How is it possible for me to get more viewers when I have 15 times the size of the audience on YouTube? Listen, YouTube's been good to me. I love YouTube, but they have suppressed my channel big time. And I'm not going to complain because whatever, many other people have been suppressed as well, but there's something to be said for it, so it supports me there. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so follow me on there. Okay, what I was about to say is that where I shared on Rumble last night was that there is a variety of topics that I thought were going to be killer on Joe Rogan, but we just didn't get to them. For example, the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan that's underwater. The debate is whether it was a natural formation or a man-made construct from back in the last ice age when the sea levels were lower. I have to be honest with you. I firmly believe that that is man-made, and let me tell you why. One of the most outspoken critics of it, at least of public notoriety and someone that's a qualified individual, is Dr. Robert Schoch. For whatever reason, he just thinks it's natural. So I challenged him on Twitter, and I said, and this was to everybody, not just him, this is the whole archaeological community, geologists, and everyone in between. If we're going to say that Yonaguni is a natural formation, then please show me just one example from anywhere else on Earth that even looks remotely similar to it. Because if you're going to say it's natural, then surely with millions of miles of global coastline between all 7 continents, as well as all the islands combined, it is millions of miles of coastline. So you would think you would find at least one other example that's even remotely comparable. It's been nothing but crickets from everybody. I have not seen one other example, and I've looked, and I'm waiting to hear back. This was many months ago. So I believe that would have been a really fun conversation to have. I also was going to talk about Machu Picchu. You heard me talk on the Joe Rogan podcast about the 900-ton trilithon stones at Baalbek and the 1,000-ton Ramesseum statue in Luxor, Egypt. But at Machu Picchu, if you look at what they're teaching in archaeological schools, and I've shared screenshots of this in videos of the past, is that there's 55-ton stones that were said to have been dragged up that steep hill up to the top of Machu Picchu. Yes, they have also said that some of the stones came from above, but they still have to carry them down and bring them back up. But In archaeological schools today, they do teach that some of the largest stones were brought from the bottom. 55-ton stones equates to well over 100,000 pounds. And that hill is insanely steep. I'm sorry, I have significant doubts that they dragged that thing up there with that level of incline percentage. I'm not buying it. Or, hey, demonstrate it. If the archaeologists are going to adamantly claim that that's how it was done, then okay, show me. Demonstrate it. What is this? Oh, that's a light from the window next to me. It's not a stain. It's the sun. There you go. Another topic was the Sage Wall in Montana, the so-called Montana megaliths. I was super excited that I was going to give Mike Collins of the Wandering Wolf YouTube channel a shout out because he brought this all the attention and he's become a close friend of mine. And we never got to that topic either, and I was so bummed out about it because here's the thing about the Sage Wall in Montana. It could potentially be man-made or a combination of natural and man-made, or it could just be natural. We don't know. I don't know. Mike doesn't know. But it is unbelievably bizarre. And even if it is just a natural formation, which it could be, it is a learning experience for everybody because it's in the United States. Anyone could take a $300 plane ride to Montana, rent a rental car for $100 and go visit it and be there within just a few hours of wherever you live. It could be a field trip for, people studying geology in school. It's a win-win. It's a positive thing. It gets people outside in the sun and in the woods and in the mountains. And that's what I'm advocating for, guys. Like, the part that I see myself playing in this realm, I'm not out there digging, nor do I even want to. It's my passion to teach things. I like sharing interesting things with lots of people. It's fun. And it's a positive thing. So, like, sharing this stuff will encourage other people to go explore and find out the answers for something, that's a win. Let me see here, this super chat from Seth Riggin. I enjoy the narrative of a historical advanced society. Graham is a breath of fresh air for all thinkers. I entirely agree. Graham Hancock is one of the good guys. I've met him a few times in person. We exchange emails, and I've gone a bit closer with him. And not only has he brought the mysteries of lost ancient civilizations to more attention of people around the world than anyone else on Earth, but he's also been very positive. And no one else has gotten more heat and criticism than him. And it's hurt him deeply, and I take offense to that. He's one of the good guys. And you don't have to agree with every single thing that he shares. But if you go through his work on his many books, and particularly Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, if you go chapter by chapter, he has shared things that almost nobody knew about before. That is a fact. I'm not saying everything he shared it wasn't known, because I know people take me out of context all the time, so I have to always preface everything with that. But yeah, like, go through his work line by line, and his work is a gold mine, much of which a lot of people have forgotten. And so no one has done a greater service than him in my mind. But there's other people, let's see here. Any other super chats on Rumble? I don't want to miss anything. Let's see here. What else do we got? Let me scroll down. I've missed a ton. And someone said, where did you get this shirt? So this one you won't find available anymore. But my favorite clothing line is a company that's exclusively for men. It's called Bonobos, like the chimp, Bonobos, bonobos.com. And so I have a unique body in that I'm 5'10", and I have like a 37-inch chest and like a 31 or 32-inch waistline. I'm slim. I'm healthy. But it is unbelievably difficult for me to find shirts that fit well. And it's a high-end clothing line. It's nice that, look, this is like an $80 shirt, and not everyone's going to spend $80, so I understand that. And but if I'm going to go on live streams and look good, shit, I'm going to pick out something that pops. And these cactuses are freaking cool, or cacti, or whatever you want to call them. So it's bonobos.com. Highly recommend, because they fit good and it's quality, and they don't like lose their color when you wash them a few times. The quality is actually in there. I shouldn't be plugging them. I should do a brand deal with them, right? Hold on, let me have a sip of water and hit mute so you don't hear me gulping. I'm so annoying. Hold on one second. I'm doing Zen. I know it looks gross to put something in and out of my mouth while on camera. And hold on. I don't want to be an advocate for caffeine. Like, I don't smoke. I don't do chewing tobacco. This is synthetic nicotine. and the cognitive benefits are there. So if I'm doing a live stream, I do it because it's you just feel it. But I don't want to be an advocate for it because how do I know it's not bad for you in the long term? All things in moderation, right? This is a nice comment. Let me put it on there. Oh my God, it's my first time seeing you live, Jimmy. Hello. Thank you so much. I am Z Model. Love it. Thank you for the love. Let's see here. We got another super chat. Knew you'd be back on Rogan. Thank you so much, Elliot Ware. And I'll be honest, Joe Rogan and I, so we'll do it again someday, and I'm entirely grateful for it. He's a good guy, guys. You want to know what it's like to go on Joe Rogan? You want me to tell you? Here's fun, because not everyone shares this stuff. So everyone knows that Joe Rogan's wealthy. So it's not much out of it's not a big deal for him, but not everyone's as generous as him either. So he flies you first class. The first time I went on, he allowed me to bring my brother as like a moral support. I insisted on paying. He refused, and he booked us at the JW Marriott and flew us first class. He has a black car, pick you up at the airport with a driver. They're incredibly professional because they work with him closely, and they take you around, and it's great, and it's a lot of fun. The second time I brought my girlfriend, and same thing, put us first class, JW Marriott, and this time he put us up at the Hotel Van Zandt in Austin, which I wasn't familiar with, but this made the JW Marriott look crummy. And the JW Marriott's so nice. Everyone knows that if you've been to one, like it's a nice hotel. And the Hotel Van Zandt was nice, guys. It was swanky, and so I brought my father this time, which meant the world to my dad, and we had so much fun. First class, and he put us each, and by the way, he got my brother his own room at the hotel. Obviously, my girlfriend stayed with me the second time, and this time, same thing. He got my dad and I each a suite, which was badass because the room was massive, and you had a window in the east and the west with a bathroom in the middle. It had a whole living room. It was dope. And the black car service and everything. And, the guy's well off, so it's not like a big deal for him. It's a drop in the bucket. But it is a classy move to take such good care of somebody. And then you get to the studio, which is in essentially a business park. It's unmarked. The businesses around don't even know that he's there. Or maybe they do now because Trump went there. So that, it's hard not to get the word out from that regard. But you would never know it. You would never know it. It's like 10, 15 minutes from the airport or whatever, and it's a business park with a bunch of other businesses, and you would have people walk by, so he's got security people. I'm not going to share too many details about that, but he has a team of badasses that look after him. Follow him around because Joe Rogan's very, he's had threats, and he has a big, there's stalkers out there and all that. And these guys are so freaking cool. They're all Navy SEALs and former, Special Forces and Army Rangers and stuff, all combat experienced, and they're also, as you can imagine, very smart, and he's chosen the types of people that you'd want around when you're meeting people of all types of notoriety, and those guys are so freaking cool. And then he's got this massive studio with all this artwork and all these things that he's collected over the years, and it's a freaking cool environment. And when I'm chatting with these people, they tell you what it was like when Trump was there. They said there was like 100 people that came with him. They said 50 was not the number. It was way more than that. The whole room was packed. And they had bulldozers that blocked streets off and everything. So that was fun talking about that. And these people that work with him are such professionals and so nice. They were talking to me about meeting Russell Crowe. And apparently they loved him. They said what a down-to-earth individual he was. Hold on, let me just read this super chat before. Oh, it looks like I may have missed one. Let me scroll up to find it. There we go. Forgive me for interrupting, but I'm not gonna. If someone's gonna give me money, I'm not gonna miss them. Paul Slingdog, why haven't you done a swap cast with the Snake Bros? Are you all friends with Ben Kirkwick and Wandering Wolf? I hope you guys don't have a secret beef. I don't have a beef with anybody. I don't know the Snake Bros personally. They seem like cool guys, and I've heard nice things about them. They've never reached out. If they ever did, it would be awesome to connect. But there's no beef, guys. Like I've had beefs with certain people. But for me, it's all water under the bridge. Like when you mix business and things with certain people, things can get hairy. But anyone that I've had a beef with in the past, to me, it's water under the bridge. I forgive pretty quickly and I forget. There's only been a couple people out there that I felt had did me wrong, and I've never spoken about them publicly because it's just unprofessional, and I'm not a drama queen. It's unbecoming. Like, who gives a shit? People are listening to me to talk about Atlantis, right? But no, if they ever want to link up, I'd be down. That'd be fun. Yeah, Russ and Alan are their names. And they seem like good vibes to me. Let's see here. I enjoyed that show. It could have gone 8 hours to shake out with dedunking. Absolutely. Like, that's the thing. We went, 3 hours, and we didn't touch on. I have other subjects written down that we didn't talk about. But it will all make for a better show next time too. Like, having too much to talk about is a good thing. And next time I go on there, I want to make it a point. I've been talking for many months now. I'm going to do a video on the pole shifts. I'm still building up information, but I want to make the most comprehensive and compelling case, because I firmly think, based on the research that I have done, that pole shifts are the missing link in lost ancient civilizations. And I touched on it on that show, as well as the prior time. But something that very few people understand is that there is absolutely a link between geomagnetic pole excursions, extinction level events on Earth, and massive shifts in climate change. It is a fact. Ben Davison of Suspicious Observers has done more research on the topic of pole shifts and sun cycles than anybody else. And a little known fact that nobody else has talked about, and that I learned from Ben Davison, is that there's something called the Gothenburg pole excursion that is estimated to have happened between 13,300 and 12,400 or 200 years ago. So right in the middle of that is that date, because that's an estimated date. And right in the middle is 12,800. And what's significant about that is the onset of the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe of 12,800 years ago that lasted until approximately 11,600 years ago. And in that window, there was a deep freeze, massive die-off of various mammals in North America and elsewhere on Earth, and a massive shift in climate change. And when you look at the scientific studies, when geomagnetic pole excursions happen, it does shift weather patterns. It shifts the Earth's sea levels, or not sea levels, excuse me, the ocean currents, which there are two things that affect climate on Earth more than anything. Number one is the sun, which is kind of a no-brainer. And number two is the ocean currents. As I've said before, and if you heard me say it before, I'll say it again. Because of the Gulf Stream that goes all the way up to the north around England, it is the reason why England is relatively temperate in the winter compared to other regions in that same, far north in Europe. And when you consider these details, it is extremely reasonable to suggest that geomagnetic pole excursions wreak havoc on the climate on Earth when they happen. So I'm going to go into that, with more people, with more videos. And so that's next on my agenda. It won't be my next video, but it's something that I definitely have to touch on. Real quick, guys, let me read off this next ad read. If you give me just a half a second here. 1 second. Let me just make sure I'm here. Okay, so this company is 1775 Coffee. Did you know that 95% of coffee beans are as bland and overprocessed as the mainstream media? Enter Pea Berry Coffee, the 5% that refuses to bow to mediocrity. These are rare beans that are denser, richer, and packed with bold flavor. 1775 Pea Berry Coffee isn't just a drink, it's a statement. Grown at high altitudes, handpicked with care like election ballots should, as election ballots should be, and roasted to perfection, it's rare, bold, and uncompromising. Let me see if I can click on this bad boy. Here we are. Whether it's the pea berry, a dark bold roast, or even a mushroom blend, it's all about quality, freedom, and pushing back against the system, because life's too short to drink coffee made from people who want to silence you and sell you garbage. Go to 1775coffee.com, grab some pea berry, and taste what coffee is meant to be. Use promo code BRIGHTINSIGHT, save 15% off. Don't settle for mediocrity, brew rebellion. Guys, this is literally the best smelling coffee. All of the 1775. I was blown away because, of course, they sent me a number of samples, and it was freaking outstanding. This company is awesome and supports me, so I highly recommend it. The link is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment. So check them out. It's awesome stuff. So I know most people listening are coffee drinkers, so I can't recommend them enough. Okay, so let's see what is everyone saying in the chats. I hope I didn't miss any super chats on Rumble. Looks like I did not. Let's see here. All right, what other questions and comments do you guys have? Let's see here. Oops. Seth Riggin, I can't bring it up here, but he said, I would like to hear your thoughts on the moon and its effects on Earth. That is a great question. So, yeah, it's not letting me, oops. Hold on one second here. Let me see if I can pin it. Hold on. There we go, so everyone can read it. All right, I have a few things to say about the moon. And I do have a video on this from a few years ago now, probably at least 4 years ago, where it's documented that there have been lights that have been observed from the moon, or from Earth, as seen on the moon, going back thousands of years. You can read about this on NASA. It's called transient lunar phenomena, or lunar transient phenomena, one or the other. And it's unexplained. I think it'd be released gases from inside the moon. It's bizarre. And very few people are aware of that. On the Apollo 11 mission, literal, like the day before they landed, NASA observed a green huish light on a certain portion of the moon and radioed to the Apollo 11 astronauts, and they instantly respond back saying they could see it. Did you know that? Some people listening know it because they saw my video, but tell me that's not one of the most bizarre things you've ever heard. This is established fact. This is documented. This isn't classified. It is a documented fact that the astronauts witnessed a green light from the surface of the moon the day before they landed on it. Hours, actually. Less than a day. That's bizarre. The moon also has a number of things about it that are truly peculiar. Its mass and its density doesn't make sense based on its size. That's documented. They've also done experiments where after the astronauts had put their seismographs on the 5 different locations they did when they allegedly landed there. I think they did land there, but we don't need to get into that. But they've crashed rockets into it and measured the reverberations on the seismographs and found that it was described having essentially rang like a bell. And by that, not sound, but that the reverberations of the impact caused something to happen inside the moon to go back and forth for like 8.5 hours. And one of the other occasions was like 4 hours or whatever it was. And so essentially, there are some that theorize that and this is very conspiratorial, I'm not saying it's scientific fact, but some have suggested that the moon is hollow. And this is where it gets even more fun, is that some have suggested that the moon was brought here by intelligent beings eons ago or whatever, and is a hollowed out planetoid. And that the reason why the moon is so shiny is because it's metallic shavings, that the moon dust is metallic. I'm not saying this is exactly how it is. I'm simply sharing what others have theorized. But there is something bizarre about the moon, and every single one of us, I think at this point, knows that it is straight up bizarre that we have not been back. Right? We're all talking about going to Mars. Like, what are you talking about? Go back to the moon. I want to see some HD, quality film of the moon. There's also, by the way, tunnels in the moon. They think that they're ancient volcanic lava tubes, so those should be explored. But that reminds me that some of the light seen from the moon just a few hundred years ago were described that there was a volcano went off, and for hours on end they could see this reddish pinkish hue coming from a part of the moon. And it's thought that maybe it was volcanic activity. And I'm like, wait a second. If that's the case, are you saying, because the moon is supposed to be a dead moon, nothing going on inside. If there was volcanic activity as recently as a few hundred years ago, that changes our understanding of the moon. So I'm not saying that these lights are alien bases, but if the moon still has some sort of volcanic activity going on, that's a significant scientific detail that needs to be discussed and studied and shared. So yeah, the moon is an oddball one. And if you want to know what I really think, I wouldn't be surprised if the moon was an arc. I know that sounds batshit crazy to some people, but who knows? Texan Proud, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Let me scroll down and look at some random conversations here. Random stuff. Yeah, David Icke is who I'm quoting. I like David Icke. He's not right about everything. Neither is nobody else. I don't like that he's going so hard against so many alternative people. He thinks everyone's in on it. And I'm like, people have said I'm in on some conspiracy, that I'm CIA, and I'm like, I'm not. Like, I'm making videos from my spare bedroom. I swear to God, I'm not, nobody controls Jimmy. Like, I'm just doing my own thing, and I get things wrong. But I'm like, now that I know and I've intermingled with certain people and I see what it's like to have some level of attention And when people accuse me of being like a deep state guy, which is not true, I can now see how it's like, nah, like many people are just doing their own thing. Like we all are right and wrong about different stuff, but we're all just following our own gut instinct and path, right? So I like David Icke. I'm a David Icke supporter. And he's gotten more heat than anybody. Dinkum Aussie said, would you say that geomagnetic effects and pole reversals are far more important than CO2 levels to our future? Yeah, I do think that. I think the Earth is going to take care of itself and we don't need to worry about CO2. This is what I think. Listen, we should be more worried about supervolcanoes, honestly. I think that we're going to, technology itself will course correct. Like, if we're going to get to the point where we can't breathe, people will start, it's going to move on to other types of technology, like whether it's electric vehicles, and we can safely power electricity with nuclear capabilities. Nuclear capabilities are far safer than now. The technology exists to like almost make a possibility of a meltdown almost non-existent. And even though right now we're using old technology, guys, there's been like 2 events. You have the Fukushima thing, which was preventable, by the way, and that's a whole thing in itself. And then you have Chernobyl. And then there was that one other event. What island do they call it? I forgot, drawn off the top of my head. But out of all the nuclear sites all over the Earth, there's been almost nothing that's happened from them. It's clean, it's doable, and it's in my mind, it all comes down to fossil fuels. The true powers that be on this Earth want to keep the oil and gas industry going, and that's what it's about. But no, I'm not particularly worried about CO2. And if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter if I'm wrong because it's someone else's problem. It might be my problem, might be all of our problems, but there's nothing I can do about it, right? That's what I mean by problem. Like if there's something I can change, I promise you, I would pay more attention to it and focus on it entirely. But there's not much I can do about it. And so anyways, let's see what this says. Kami Safari 719. Jimmy should take all his donators and some mercenaries for hire and raid Mauritania to dig at the Rishat structure. I don't think that I should. I know people have gone to Mauritania, like David Stig Hansen's been there 3 times, Josh Sigurdsson's been there. It's not as dangerous as some people think. However, the real issue is that it is very inhospitable and you have to drive 250 miles inland with all your resources. You need to bring all the water that you need. You need to have reliable transportation. And if you break down out there and you run out of water, you could die. So the only way I'm going there is with a team that has awesome resources, but the Mauritanian government is not going to tolerate it. It is an established fact that Mauritania has an abundance of gold and they don't want anyone digging it up. So yeah, that's kind of the situation there. Let's see here. Oh, here's a fun one. You wouldn't be surprised if the moon was an arc. I'm unsubbing. You are clearly a troll monetizing the stupidity of normal people. No, I believe it. It is entire. You have no idea how the moon got here. In the physics, so the most common explanation is that whatever the moon was a prior planet that collided with Earth. But the physics of it doesn't make a lot of sense. Many scientists disagree with that theory. So it is unknown how the moon got here. The moon has a near perfect orbit where none of the other moons in our solar system has it. It's also interlocked where the other moons rotate and the moon is just locked in place, which is why we see the so-called face on the moon all the time. There are many things about the moon that make absolutely no sense, and it is entirely possible that 1 million years ago, an advanced species came here and brought the moon in order to provide an abundance of life on Earth. It is a fact that because of the moon, it has facilitated the tides that we have today. If the moon was not here, the tides would be far more extreme. And it is also a fact that because of the tides, has facilitated most life forms in the ocean are within tidal zones and rely, and that is because of the moon. The moon also provides us light for most days at night, or excuse me, most nights in the month. And that also facilitates an abundance of insect life. And insects give life to all kinds of other creatures. Birds, things eat birds, things eat insects, and it's like this whole circle of life. If we didn't have the moon, we'd also have 2 seasons. The moon is the reason why we have 4 seasons. If we did not have the moon, our summers and our winters would be much longer and far more extreme. Also, our day and our nights would be far longer. This is a fact. So because of the moon, it has facilitated an abundance of life on Earth. And it is entirely possible that there are other beings in outer space somewhere that have done us a solid, did Earth a solid, let's say, eons ago, and did it to facilitate life. That is possible. It sounds like science fiction nonsense, and I'm not saying I believe this. I literally said this was conjecture, that this is just an idea, and it is worth entertaining. It's just conversation. I'm not writing scientific articles and trying to convince anyone of anything. But you have no idea how the moon got here, how it was formed, and why it has all these unique characteristics that don't match any other moon in our solar system. You have no idea. And it is unbecoming to have a closed mind and not entertain ideas. This is fun. It is Saturday afternoon, and this is conjecture. So you can unsub and never listen to anything I have to say for the rest of your life if it makes you feel good. Goodbye. Oh, that's fun. I always love when I get comments that, unsubbing, you said something I don't agree with. And now, even though you've entertained me for years with all kinds of facts that taught me all kinds of things, you said one thing I disagree with, and now you're dead to me. I love those comments. It's like, hey bro, this is not a breakup. I don't know you. You don't have to watch my videos. Sorry to see you go, but life, I assure you, life will go on for me. And I love the rest of you. Hey guys, light them up in the comments. Tell them that you love me. Goodbye. Derek Cousins said, isn't it likely Great Pyramids are ransacked of tomb evidence? Absolutely. And this ties me into, and this is what I was chatting with Danica Patrick on her podcast that I did not go into with Joe Rogan, and I wish that I had, which is that Great Pyramid void was initially discovered in 2016 through Muon technology. The scientific paper on it was published and confirmed in 2017. So 8 years ago. 8 years ago from the time it was discovered. Not only has it not been explored, but there is no plan in place at all as of today to go explore it, which makes no sense. Because for reasons that I already described earlier in the podcast, there could be so many answers for not only what's inside, was it a pharaoh, information on how the pyramid was constructed, there could even be evidence of lost tooling. Like, oh wow, look at this. This is how they cut those granite stones that we can't explain. So the conspiracy in me is like, what's to say that they haven't already gone looking? That the Egyptian antiquities hasn't already done it in secrecy, because they could. They shut down, the Giza Plateau is shut down at night. They do host tours, private tours in every hour from dusk till dawn. But like, that's not every day. They close it down sometimes to do maintenance. So I'm like, think of it like this. If you had the authority to be the true decision maker in Egypt, the key people that could determine if and when that hidden chamber was to be excavated, which they could do very easily. They could drill a 1/2-inch diameter hole or smaller, send a tube camera through with a light and see what's inside of it, and they could do it by the end of the week. Ask yourself if it makes any sense why it hasn't been explored and there's no plan in place to do it, or is it possible they've already done so in secrecy? Now, I have no evidence of that. I'm not convinced of it, but it would not surprise me if they had. It would make far more sense that they had gone looking and wouldn't share it with us. And you're like, well, why wouldn't they share it? Well, maybe it debunks the pharaoh thing. Maybe, the tomb explanation. Maybe there's a lost tooling. Maybe there's a hidden technology. As far-fetched as that sounds to some people, if there's something in it that even throws a wrench in, because Egypt is an Islamic country, and if there's something in it that makes the pyramids out to be much older than we had thought, or more advanced, or that ancient civilizations was more advanced than we ever thought to believe, it is entirely possible that there are powers that be that would not want that to come out. And I know that's heartbreaking and sad for some to believe, and I'd like to think that that's not the case, but it is possible. And I have a hard time believing that they haven't gone looking, because I would have. Now, I'd share it with everybody, but I have a hard time believing they haven't gone looking. Let's see. In the mix. Hi, Jimmy. I just want to say that I appreciate you keeping the pressure on the mainstream archaeology. It's not always easy to observe that sort of flack and personal attack from them. Keep it up, brother. By the way, you have a great channel. Thank you so much for the kind words, and I appreciate that. And no, I am never going to let off. My foot is on the pedal, and I'm going to keep going. I see my path as being the guy that brings attention to topics the best way that I can and pushing on the mainstream archaeology to do further excavation. This is my role, and I'm going to keep it going, because how could anybody be content in living the rest of their life not knowing what's inside the Great Pyramid Chamber, not knowing what's waiting to be discovered at Göbekli Tepe? Like I've said before, it is entirely unacceptable that we would live the rest of our lives not knowing what answers are waiting to be discovered there. Everyone on Earth has an inherent right to know the truth of our lost ancient past, and I just can't live with it. So, guys, I'm going to go for about 5 more minutes. I'd like to keep it going because I'm having fun. But I have plans tonight, and it's Saturday, so I have to get that going. So let me just read a few more. Holly Movie Star, going to be awesome when they ignite the Tomahawk reactors. I don't know what that is. And actually, hold on one second. Let me just double check here on YouTube. Awesome. Oh, we got a good crowd. Okay, so we got almost 2,300 people on Rumble right now and 1,900 on YouTube. My following on Rumble is 15 times smaller than YouTube. How is it I have more followers? This is why I encourage you to follow me on rumble.com. Hey, YouTube, I love you, but, you know, you're not promoting my stuff. Let me see what other super chats here. And forgive me, I'm missing so many. But again, as I said earlier, if you follow me on locals.com, I will be doing a live stream like I do monthly. It's a live Q&A, and every single comment and every single question gets answered. And when you support me on there, you can leave the comments and the questions, and it supports me. So it's a win-win, and it's a way of, because I'm missing hundreds and hundreds of comments, and forgive me, but what can I do? And I'm not going to ignore the people that are giving me money. Ancient Vacuum. My channel proves the big rock blocks on top of the columns in Karnak are empty, and so probably are freshwater cisterns. Well, that's fascinating. I haven't heard that, and I can't wait to check it out. So yeah, check out this person's, I don't know if you're a guy or a girl, I don't presume you're a dude, but check out their channel. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Texan Proud again said, the Bible mentions giants before they built the pyramids. It mentions giants from before Noah, a long time ago, and I find that fascinating. Let's see here. The in-between. I'm sure if the Richat was what some of us believe it was 11,600 years ago, we should be looking in the thick offshore debris field off the western coast. Yes. A lot of people will say that, okay, Jimmy, if the Richat was the lost ancient city of Atlantis, where are the remnants? Where's the artifacts? I'm like, I've already shared this. The theory of the Richat being Atlantis is dependent on that it was obliterated by some sort of force of water. And the evidence is there for all of eyes to see that the bedrock surrounding the entire region of Northwest Africa was clearly blasted by a force of water that is unknown scientifically. It's there. That is not wind erosion. It is water erosion. I've shared this. If you look up the most windiest places on Earth, absolutely none of them even remotely resemble what we see in Northwest Africa. It's water erosion, and it matches, I've shared this in another video too, it matches the textbook versions of fluvial erosion. So if there's artifacts, they're going to be off the west coast. Now, where there just so happens to be the Mauritanian seafloor slide, which is massive, it's more than a mile thick of layered sediment, which is suggestive evidence, not proven evidence, but suggestive, that it's sediment that was blown off West Africa and piled into the ocean. So if there's remnants of Atlantis, it would be under there, and that would be a project in itself. You're going to need, to find it, you would need to find deep sea mining operations, because there's like seafloor gold operators. You would need to drill it, and since Atlantis was said to have an abundance of gold, that's what you'd want to go looking for, because we do have scientific, technological capability to search for gold, because it's metal. Whether there were stone blocks that stayed intact after getting bulldozed by the ocean, probably not. They'd be broken apart. But here's the thing. If it was Atlantis, there would have to be something out there, right? So it's worthy of study. Why not, right? Let me see here. What else do we got? Looks like I missed a super chat here from somebody. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute, guys. I love you, but I got to run out the door pretty soon. Crit Nature said, "Hey Jimmy, fantastic Joe Rogan episode. Thank you. Great discussion. Next time, you and Randall debating Atlantis, maybe. Respectful debates are also something that we're desperately missing now, especially after seeing the Dibble one." I'm open to that, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. Guys, I like Randall. He has gone above and beyond to try to debunk the Rishot theory, which I think is a little weird because it's like, bro, like, I'm not trying to debunk the Azores. And I also feel that he hasn't accurately portrayed some things involving the Rishot. And I don't think he's misled. I'm not saying that at all. I've simply pointed out that he's like, well, it's not an island, so it's not Atlantis. So I'm like, well, hold on a second. The ancient Greek word for island had 5 different meanings. The ancient Greek word was Nessos and Nesson. So one of the meanings was island, but it also had other meanings such as peninsula, promontory, and also land within a continent surrounded by lakes, rivers, or springs, which would match the Rishot. And he's also talked about its elevation about sea level. I've discussed that. What else has he said? There was one other notable thing that I've mentioned. He said it's a natural geological feature, so it can't be Atlantis. And I'm like, wait a second. Atlantis was said to be built by the god Poseidon, but the ancient Greek word translation for Poseidon meant Lord of the Earth. And I'm like, isn't it reasonable to say that Poseidon wasn't a person and maybe it's just describing what we call Mother Nature today? Because we've built on natural geological features since the beginning of time, and we still do today. I am so open to that. And I would go into the debate with a good spirit that's like, hey, listen, let's not debunk each other. Let's lay out the case on why the Azores and why the Rishot should be explored. It's a win-win. I am so open to that, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. It'd be good-spirited, and it'd be, I think, massively entertaining for the audience. And I'm not going in there to debunk the Azores, and I just think that it'd be a lot of fun because then he could present, as he has before, but all the geological evidence of water erosion, in the northwest portion of America, as he's shared in the Badlands and all that. And then we could talk about the water erosion around the Rishot, which he himself has validated. He's like, yes, this is evidence of at least one, but possible multiple catastrophic fluvial events that is inexplicable across North Africa. So although he doesn't think that the Rishot is Atlantis, some of the things he shared does further provide evidence of my theory. But I would love to connect with Randall. I think that'd be a great time, and it's a win-win for everybody. Because it's a positive thing. So I'm open to it. So hey, Randall, if you get this message, I love you, brother. We can connect, and it'd be a good opportunity to go back on Rogan and share something that the audience would find to be a lot of fun. All right, so this will be my last one, guys. I love you all. Seth Riggin again. How do you feel about the possibility of alternative media personalities and podcasters filling up the room of White House press conferences? Yes, absolutely. Part of me wants to kick all the mainstream out of there, but that would not be freedom of press. That would be wrong. But yeah, at this time, they need to adapt that room. Instead of being this ivory tower setup of all these mainstream media propaganda outlets, because that's exactly what they are. They did such a disservice to President Trump throughout his first term by misrepresenting everything he said. If you actually listen to his press conferences and listen to him from start to finish, and then look at the mainstream media headlines that they were doing back in the day, you would see that they massively misinterpreted him in a total 4-year smear campaign. So yeah, they need to open that press conference up to have some other notable alternative personalities in there to document everything and ask questions. That's a great thought, and I bet you it will happen. I bet you that will happen. The Rabbit Hole. Check out remote viewer Joseph Mengele, or I'm not saying that right. He remote viewed Mars 1 million years BC. Excuse me. Back in the 80s for the Department of Defense, he saw pyramids and 10-foot tall aliens. Yes, this is in declassified documents, right? And everyone's debunked it and said it's not true. I'm not saying I believe it one way or the other, but it's fun, right? And so I'm familiar with what you're talking about. It's been just a few years since I've really gone down that rabbit hole. All right, let's do another one. Guys, stop asking me questions. I love you, but I got to go out the door. I got dinner plans. Have you thought of the limitations of the available nature fiber rope to move megalithic blocks? The breaking strength for 2-inch rope, which is about the biggest you can handle, is about 3,000 pounds. That's a great question. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. I don't know. Listen, what we do know is that the Ramesseum statue in Luxor, Egypt, is approximately 1 million metric tons, which is approximately 2.2 million pounds. And it was moved approximately 170 miles from the Aswan quarry to Luxor. This is documented mainstream archaeology according to the experts, right? The Egyptians did not have rope capable of that. They had papyrus rope. They weren't rolled on tree logs. The one other thing I didn't share on Rogan is that, they'll say, well, they brought them down the Nile River. Well, I got news for you. The largest barges, Egyptian barges, couldn't support even a fraction of that weight. The biggest weight they proposed was 300 tons. And they thought there was one barge, and this glyph is so damaged you can't even say it with certainty. But they say that it put 2 300-ton obelisks on this barge. I have doubts about that in the first place because this glyph is so damaged. I'm like, I'm not so convinced that that's what that's showing. But let's just say that it is. Even if they did 600 tons, which is unbelievably impressive, that is saying that there was 2 stone blocks, so like distributing the weight on 2 blocks. The 1,000-ton statue is a full third heavier, which is no little thing, guys. We're not, because I know what the experts will say, well, if they could do 600 tons, they could do 1,000. I'm like, okay, well, there's no proof of that whatsoever. And let's not just pretend that 300 tons is no little thing. And well over 300 tons. It'd be like 330 plus tons. So like, or 400 tons, let's say, actually. That's no little thing. And when you're talking about moving a 1,000 metric ton massive weight on top of a barge, like, that's not, there's something called center mass or center of gravity. And yeah, man, like, I want to see the processes for lifting it on and off the barge. But not only that, okay, you did it on a barge. I have doubts about the barge, but let's just say that's how they did it. Okay, now show me how they brought that stone from the barge, never mind on and off the barge, but from the barge to the site that it's now at, because it's not right on top of the river. It's not far, but it's not right there, and you got to move that thing. So, it's a fun topic. There could be other explanations, but I need to just demonstrate the damn thing, right? Like, show me how they could have done it. Decky69, check out Mario build reps. Yes. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. One last one, guys. Stop sending me. I love you all. Dennis123 says, I believe you will benefit from reading Sacred Symbols of the Dogon people, in Africa, by Laird Scranton. Shows the quantum sciences in Egypt and hieroglyphs and links Atlantis-Richat structure via Dogon tribe in Mali. This is fascinating, and yes, I'll look into that. Thank you so much, Dennis. That's a great comment. All the comments have been great. Hey, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Definitely go check out 1775 Coffee as well as 5G Free. The links are in the description down below in the pinned comment. And, I love you all. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll do this again soon. And again, follow me on locals.com. Link is in the description. You can support me there. I'll be doing a live Q&A in the next couple days where every comment and every question will be answered directly. And I see I've missed so many. I love you all, but let's do this again soon. And I hope you all have a wonderful Saturday. Take care.